Hello YouTubers, today we'll be taking this dual Walmart active subwoofer for your car and making it into a home stereo subwoofer to add to your surround sound system. I did a lot of this shooting at work, so a lot of it's kind of crude audio and crude video, but I will try to be as descriptive as possible. I hope you guys enjoy this. Okay, we're here in front of the subwoofer. If you look at the red arrow, that's going to point to the guard bar that's for the subwoofer. You just go ahead and grab that and pull it straight for you. It'll pop right out of the rubber grommets. Then grab a Phillips screwdriver and remove the 8 screws noted by the yellow arrows. Once you've taken those out, grab a flathead screwdriver and just pry around the edges once you remove all the screws, and the speaker should pop right out of there. Once it pops out, don't pull it too far because there are 2 wires that are attached to the back of the speaker that you'll just pull out. I'm sorry we didn't get a picture of the speaker wires that are back there, but it's just a positive and negative wire that you're pulling apart, and just mark them positive and negative, but usually one of the terminals is bigger than the other when you take it out, so you'll know which side is positive and negative because they're marked on the speaker. So now we go to the back of the speaker where you have 8 more screws labeled by the yellow arrows. These you're going to need an Allen wrench for. I don't know the exact size, but if you have Allen keys, they usually come multiples. So try your Allen keys inside of the holes, and that'll be able to remove those 8 screws that are Allen keys. Now, by the 2 red arrows, there's a Phillips screw. Take those 2 screws out, and once we get inside of the speaker, you will see why we have to remove those 2 screws. Once you remove all of the screws from the back of this is your amplifier part. Once you remove these screws, it's not going to come all the way out, and there's no wires to take off this one. You're just going to pull it out because that is pretty much like how the amplifier is connected to the speaker in the back. So just once you take those out, be very careful and just kind of sit this one aside. It'll probably be just the wires holding it up. Okay, so I'm not going to go to the full thingy of like taking screws out, but you take all, I think what, 6, 7, 8, there's 8 screws that hold this thing in. Take all 8 screws out of here. We're going to try to tuck this power supply inside of this box, but first I need a place where the wires will come out. This is a really lazy way of doing this. I could, oh shoot, I dropped it. I could solder this to these points back here. I thought about that, but I didn't want to do that. So, because like honestly, I don't have a soldering iron right now, but I'll solder it when I get home and later do that. But the wires that were outside to come out are the high wires, the high input level. So we're gonna take this out because we don't use it anyway. So let me see if I can get this to focus. You just pull, like once you, this is wires all tucked in here. You got to pull this out. Oh shoot, reposition my camera. It's hard to do this with one hand. And so you pull this out here, and that's going to come out. And you just put that aside. And also, as you spin this thing around, like what we're going to do is I drilled a hole here. You don't have to drill the hole there. I just drilled it there and tucked the wires up here. But I drilled a hole. I'll give you an orientation of where the box is. I turned it on its side and drilled a hole right there. You can see in there. Like I drilled a hole. See if I get the light in here. Okay, there it goes. There's the light. So I drilled a hole right here that comes out of the other side. This is the wire that already comes inside of that box. I just moved it out of the way. These are the 2 wires that are going to connect to the back of your speaker. I just kind of moved them out of the way because just shove them through the porthole here. So the reason why we drilled the hole is because if we're going to tuck this inside, this is connected to a power adapter. So the hole that we pushed out, we're going to run the power leads down here. so they have a place to come out. And then we're going to attach the power leads to here, over there. So yeah, that's how that works. That's how that's going to go in there. Yeah, something like that. Well, the regular 20, what is it? This is a 250 watt power supply. Add to some Dells, the smallest one I can find. You can cut off all the power leads that go to the board. The only ones you really need are the green wire. There's always going to be a green wire, and that green wire has to be attached to ground. Now later I'm going to add a switch to these two, because these two, once it's connected, turns on the power supply. You need all your yellow leads. That's going to be your power side, your hot side 12s. You don't want red, you don't want anything else, because I think red is 5 volts and black is your ground, so you need all your ground. So this can actually be a thicker wire, like I'm running it pretty thin because I don't think it's going to draw that much power, but you probably want to get a thicker ground wire. So in retrospect, this is your 12 volt positive, this is your ground, and I just pretty much cut off all the other leads and tape them off. I will go back and solder these later, but for right now, like, I don't have those tools here to work with me, so that's what the 2 wires are that we are running to the box. I made them kind of long, so when I tuck them in there, I'll be able to see how much wire I can cut off. So your power supply is going to have, well, if you use the one that I use, it's going to have a AC power adapter that's like, you know, everything's like in a standard AC adapter from a computer or something like that. It's going to go here. What you're going to do, you're going to take this cord and you're going to cut off one of those ends. Boop, like this. Pow. Bam, that's cut off. So you want to leave this part out for now, because you're going to drill a hole. I've decided to drill my hole down there. It comes out of the back right here. And we're going to take the hot end. There's our other setup where we haven't plugged that in yet. So yeah, we have not plugged that in. So we're going to take our hot end from this thing. We're going to shove it in that hole right there. So now the working end that you're going to plug into the wall for your house is on that side, and we're going to do some wiring to connect this back to this inside the box. And I'm gonna have to figure out a way to mount this on this side so that that speaker can clear the area back there. Alright, so I'm gonna see if we can mount that out now. So now I've shoved the power supply in here with the modified cord that I matched up. So I shoved it in here to find out the length of wire I'm going to need out of the back. So I just shove it in there like that. I took this off to the side to give it a service loop. And back here, what we're going to do is pull this out as far as it needs to go. I think that's pretty good. So I don't have a grommet here at work, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out just a little more to where it's like tough, and I'm going to wrap tape around it and create a grommet and plug this in here. So I'm going to wrap the tape around here so that it can shove in and like so it's snug in there, and then I'm going to tape the outside bigger. Then we'll do the same thing on the inside. Okay, so see here, I've wrapped a bunch of electrical tape around this area right here to make it thicker than the hole. So now we have to shove this into the hole. See if I can do this with one hand. I got it. We're gonna try. And the cool thing about electrical tape is see how like I can't get it back in there. I can take some of these layers off to where it fits in there. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I've taken enough tape off to where it's thicker than the hole and fits in snugly, so it goes in. Alright, so that's in there pretty snug. So what you want to do is get it to the snug area and stop there. Now we're going to get our tape and we're going to layer it over this. Like put it in all the way flush. And we're going to layer it until it can't go in the hole. So layer it where I had it before, so where it can't go into the hole now. Okay, so let's come to our other side where we have our power supply. Let's go ahead and take this out. Oh, almost dropped it there. Put that to the side. Now, you see this is where we layered our tape to make our grommet plug. So now on this side, what we're going to do is we're going to layer the tape bigger than this area right here, so it's large enough to where it can't go through the other side. So if this thing gets pulled or kicked, it won't just suck right into it and pull our power supply out of the mountain. We're kind of making a grommet. You can't just buy grommets, but we're making one. I just realized some people might not know what I'm talking about when I'm wrapping the tape. So this is the process. You just take the tape and you're literally just going to roll it over. You're just going to keep doing this process. It's hard to do with one hand and I don't have a mount here at work. We're going to do this over and over again until we build it up bigger than this to where it can't go through that hole over there. The hole that we have drilled there. So now we've created the grommet tip. It's bigger if you see here. See how it stages down? It's actually bigger in this area. So now we'll shove it into our hole. Our small part will go in and the other side will stop. Sorry about the focus on this. So that has the room that it needs, so it can't get out now. And then on this side of the grommet, we can pull this. You see, it doesn't come out. And it has enough tension to do that. So on this side, we're going to build up tape right close next to here. And we're going to put the tape next to the wall as flush as we can and go over and over and over again, so it stops this from having any kind of movement. So it's just going to like lock this in place so that it doesn't move inside like this and it doesn't come out of the box. And now we have created the grommet on both sides. So now it can't go in and this can't come out. So on both sides, it is now stuck inside. It is now stuck. And it stops minimal airflow because your subwoofer has to have like an air dam. So it's pretty much blocking, and the electrical tape is kind of acting like a plug for all of this. So now, for our next trick, we have to mount this thing in there. So what I'm thinking about doing is like placing straps, like little cloth straps that go across it, and then I'm going to see if I can screw them. Just try to screw them into this board, the side of here. Like, so I'm gonna have to find some like shallow screws, just enough, because all it needs to do is just hold it in place. It's not gonna fall out of the box. We just need something to hold this device from moving back and forth and left and right. Okay, so I found some industrial Velcro with dual stick. So I'm gonna stick this on the bottom. I actually tested it already on the inside, I cleaned out the area of all that like weird. Okay, so it's mounted in there. And it uses Velcro, so it's like if I have to change out a power supply, I can now. So I just have to rip that off and then add the new Velcro thing, but it's in there. And now we're gonna tuck these wires probably like up here and around the corners, or just to get them out of the way of the subwoofer. Okay, so what I did with the excess wire is I took a ring of electrical tape and I wrapped it around just to secure this over here. It doesn't have to be too tight, just enough to keep the wires out of the way when I drop the speaker in here. So like this, that shouldn't be in the way. It shouldn't touch anything. Like, it's just gonna be back here. If you want to, you can pull that back, or you can just like tuck this that way, because this is going into the back of the speaker. These are simply just the wires that go, they're going to run around there. They go down to the bottom. That's what's keeping those there. The tension from these wires is so thick, they don't push against this thing. So we're going to go ahead and mount these to the speaker. Okay, so I've wired them to the speaker. And now we're going to put it in the housing, and we're going to screw it back down. And we're going to do a test and see if it works. Well, I could plug it in now and test and see if the power supply comes on, because there's a light that's down here. I think I'll do that first. So let's test. So let's put the speaker up here. We're going to plug this in and see if I get a light down there first. Okay, when you do this, make sure you have to connect these first. So I'm going to connect these first. Actually, there's a light in here, so we're going to connect these first, so that these are in a safe spot. And what you do is you can get a paper clip, like a covered paper clip. That's going to be the bridge between your remote, which is in the middle, and 12 volts. And that should give us power here, and we should see the light in here as well. So, okay. So I got my positive to my positive, my negative to my negative, which is white and black. Those are the colors I decided. And the remote and the 12 volt are bridged, and that's a little covering to protect it so that that voltage just isn't out. Like the covering for the paper clip actually is non-conductive. Have that plugged into the speaker. So let's go take a look inside. That's plugged in. So let's go ahead and plug this in and see what happens. So we'll plug this in, and oh look, we have power there. And if you look in there, you'll see a little green light. If it focuses, you can see the green light like right there. If it focused, it's focusing on my finger. And you can see the green light of this thing. So that shows me that I'm getting power to the proper places. And now we're going to test this thing, and we're just going to go ahead and put it in there and put it all together. Okay, so the speaker is all plugged in and sealed back up. This is back to normal. We still have power internally to this. Yeah, see? Now,
you said you were going to give us 10 minutes, dude.
there's no fire.
What's that? I know you're not even playing Max and Lake.
And it is working. So that's how you do that.